Good morning, folks. I was asked about Twilio, and so I'm taking a quick look at it this morning. Decided to share it in a video with everyone. My first impression of this stock, it just looks like a pullback to the 50-day moving average, which coincidentally is the bottom of this uptrending price channel. And so on the surface, I don't really see anything to be terribly concerned about. If we look at accumulation distribution, it doesn't appear that people are dumping, investors aren't dumping this stock. Let's get that off the chart. Now we do, obviously the last two sessions we've gotten selling, and it has occurred on some volume, and so that's a little bit disconcerting. Um, and I would also point out the character of these two price bars or candlesticks relative to the other bars in this chart. These are big bars. I mean, we've got, there's a decent sized green bar and red bar. Anyway, the last candlestick we could refer to as a wide ranging bar, meaning that relative to the other price bars in this chart, that's a big one. And so what that indicates to us, or can indicate to us, wide ranging bars are a sign of high energy. And so again, that's another indication that this selling is happening with some energy behind it. And again, the volume confirms that. So high energy selling on volume. Another thing, if we're looking closely, notice the last three peaks in MACD, each of them has been lower. So, the second peak there, obviously it's lower than this one. And then the third one is lower than the previous one. And so the MACD is making declining peaks. Momentum is declining, still in bull mode. I mean, from that perspective, both indicator lines are above zero. So MACD is still in bull mode, which suggests that the primary trend remains up. Stochastics, energy still elevated, obviously, has waned a little bit. Anything else there? So for the daily chart, it doesn't look bad. You could argue that this is just a pullback to the 50, and then price will go off on its way. And notice that price has found support, found it a little bit above the 50 there, a little bit above the 50 there. So, the 50 has served as support. And again, we've got the bottom of the price channel there. So that's the bullish case. Pull back to the 50, off to the races again. Let's see. Let's move on. In the weekly chart, one of the things I noticed, and again, this is the bullish case, this is a Fibonacci extension tool that I've drawn from A, B, C, those three pivot points. And the Fibonacci extension tool lets us predict where a price movement might run out of energy. Doesn't have to, but it might. Also gives us an idea of where we might set a price target as traders. And so in this case, we've got this A to B move, which is pretty darn impulsive. Well, no, I'm not going to say pretty darn. I'm going to say that is impulsive. Price hardly paused. I mean, there's a little bit of a, mid movement sideways consolidation, but for the most part, price consistently moved higher that whole time. That's an impulsive price movement. Then we get a pullback and a prediction of possible points where the move might run out of energy. And so we could be there already. We may have already reached, that could be D right there. D could have occurred right there. So anyway, this movement could be over and price is rolling over now. Possible. Also possible, and again, the bull case, that we're going to Twilio is going to head off to this higher D at 437, we'll call it. And again here, accumulation distribution, nothing to indicate that investors are selling this thing. One thing let's note, and let me reset this chart so you see that I'm not messing with the scale or anything. Stocks don't move like this. That stock is growing straight to the sky, and let me tell you folks, trees don't grow to the sky. This is an unsustainable price movement. At some point, it is going to roll over and become less steep. And for the simple reason that this is unsustainable. Thermodynamics, energy, however you want to look at it, that is not going to continue. Parabolic trends are all great fun until they do that, and then parabolic trends aren't so much fun anymore. Anyway, let's keep going here. And so this is another weekly time frame, and one of the things I noticed here, it has caught my eye, we have a potential 5-wave price movement, and of course in Elliott wave terms, a 5-wave movement could be a complete movement. And so that's a potential here from the Elliott wave perspective, is that this is a complete price movement, and now something else is going to happen. Something else being a downtrend, perhaps. Now, I don't really care for this leg as a wave 3. It's a very truncated. If that's wave 3, it's quite truncated, in my opinion, for wave 3. But again, I'm not going to gnash the details of Elliott wave theory. That could be 5 waves and a complete price movement. We'll find out. I also notice in the weekly time scale that volume is declining. You can see here that volume is clearly declining, and yet price continues to rise. And that is exactly opposite of what we want to see in an uptrend. In an uptrend, we want to see volume rising as price rises. We want to see that. And that's not what we're getting here. So again, that's a divergence between the behavior in volume and the behavior in price. And so it doesn't mean that, this uptrend is going to end tomorrow, but it's a hint that this uptrend could be reaching its end. Obviously, it's overbought as heck, and yet energy remains very high. Investors are still interested in this. I went and looked for an explanation, why this big selling, and all I could find, they've got this news release, so they're coming into their quarterly announcement and full year announcement. I thought that's typically a bullish thing. That's a reason to buy the stock, to pre-position for the quarterly, unless, of course, you knew that the quarterly wasn't going to look all that good. But that would be insider selling and illegal. So anyway, I thought it was interesting that was the first piece of news I saw when I was trying to explain that selling in Twilio. And then the next thing I noticed was this little tidbit where the CEO sold, I think 40, almost 50,000 shares of stock on the 19th. Well, the stock didn't tank on the 19th, and it's not tanking. Again, this could be just a pullback to the 50, which is healthy in an uptrend, no big deal. Let's see, where's the 19th? Right there. So CEO, and we can see, on the, let me stick up one of those right there. We can see that selling did affect the market. So we got some softness on the 19th when he sold, but that's not what caused this selling. Perhaps it took a few days for investors to react to the selling? I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. If we continue into this article or news release, we find that other insiders were selling. That's not a big sale. That was on the 4th. We had a couple, I think 2 different people selling on the 15th. But again, 2,800, 1,500, 14,000, 15,000. So, potentially you might get spooked about insiders selling. I don't know. And so anyway, that's my opinion on Twilio. The biggest red flag in my book is those 2 candlesticks are out of character with the rest of this chart. And, well, yeah, 2 things. Those 2 price bars in the daily chart, and then this in the weekly chart, and the fact that trees don't grow to the sky. And so I'm going to leave it there, folks. You heard it here first. Trees don't grow to the sky, in case